Welcome to the More Than Digital Marketing podcast, your podcast about digital marketing and so much more. This week, I'm your host, Matt, and I am joined by...
Joe.
Hey!
Back again.
Back again. How are you doing?
I'm good, yes. I'm good.
Highlights of the last couple of weeks, because it's been, 2 weeks since we were last on together, I think?
2 weeks, yes. Yeah, you've had a lovely week off and back into the swing of things this week.
I did, thank you very much.
Highlight of the week. I don't know if there has been any highlights. It's been kind of manic. I haven't really thought about if there's been any highlights or anything. It's been kind of, I don't know how it's sort of Wednesday afternoon already as we're recording this.
I hate to say it, but it's telling that you didn't say the podcast with Jack last week.
Well,
so you're going to owe him an apology.
Yeah,
but it's boosted my ego. So.
Yeah, I've missed my podcast partner in crime. But no, it was fun doing it with Jack last week as well.
Nice. And what did you talk about last week?
We talked about, what did we talk about last week? Oh, crikey, I can't even remember what we talked about last week. I think we sort of continued on the content train last week. So last few episodes have been very sort of content focused and how we conduct audits and next steps and sort of how we would look at content from a sort of professional point of view. And it's been good.
Perfect. No, it sounds like a good train to be on. Where do I get my ticket? Where's the station?
Very good.
It keeps on chugging.
Very good.
Cool. Okay, so I guess we're sort of continuing on that theme today, aren't we? Because we are talking about a big deal that is involving Google and Reddit, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. News just breaking in the last sort of few days.
We're always on the finger on the pulse, right?
Always finger on the pulse. Yeah. I mean, I think this has been sort of rumored for a while, but I think we're seeing it more now as being sort of more of an official sort of thing that is being implemented. Is obviously Google's partnership with Reddit, which involves various things, which we'll talk about. But it's definitely an interesting one.
So, are you able to provide a bit of a background on what that deal was? Like, if we go back a little bit.
Sure. So Google sort of announced a deal with Reddit, essentially in a really sort of very basic way to promote their content further. Really, they have advertised it a kind of more of an exchange than anything else. So essentially, Google and Reddit have partnered together, and in that partnership, Reddit will be showing more real-time content on Google thanks to Google having access to Reddit's API. So you'll be seeing kind of Reddit more prevalent in some search results. Not quite sure what exactly those search results will be, but essentially you'll be seeing sort of more up-to-date, fresh new Reddit content being displayed for different search results than you would before. Which is an interesting prospect. Yeah,
so, I mean, I think, I do a bit of searching. like we'll do
a bit of searching,
That's the best way to say it. I use Google from time to time. I do a bit of searching. I dabble. So, and obviously we see sort of the Reddit links anyway. You obviously see that as part of the old Template links or, how it is. And they tend to sort of, tend to be up there, don't they, in terms of where they rank. But do we expect sort of as part of this that we will see Reddit maybe higher up? Is there anything that's sort of suggesting that already, that there's maybe a bit of reward already for Reddit content because of this deal that's been struck?
Yeah, I think we will be seeing it more and more as we go along. I think outside of the physical deal that was completed, there's a reasonable assumption to make that there was some kind of monetary transactions involved. There's obviously from both sides of it, from Google side and Reddit side, they're both sort of there to gain something. Google is partnering with an extremely well-known kind of, I guess, could you describe as a social media? Or I suppose you could, in a way. And obviously Reddit is gaining more visibility to its platform as well. So I think we will start seeing Reddit take a bit of a foothold for more queries on Google as we go forward, and its integration with Google's AI, which has now got access to its Vertex AI, and vice versa. I think we're gonna, we've spoken about AI over the past couple of weeks, and SGE has been a big sort of topic as well. So I think it's certainly fascinating to see how Reddit's going to integrate with that as well going forward. But yeah, particularly for kind of, I guess, maybe longer tail searches, at least initially, I would expect to see Reddit, being on the results page for more terms.
A bit more of the source. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is part of this as well is, like you said, I think the content is going to be the Reddit content is going to be available for training the search engines, so for training Google's AI models, which is you mentioned Vertex.
Correct. Yes.
Vertex AI. So I get a little bit lost with all of this. So I know there was Bard became Gemini, and now Vertex is an add-on to Gemini. How do we?
Pretty much, yeah. I think, I mean, to be honest, they're kind of merging into one, but I think Vertex sort of involves part of Gemini as its kind of AI platform, and obviously that is the platform that Reddit has gained access to as a result of this deal, which actually is quite a big deal, really. Obviously we're seeing Google experimenting with AI in a number of different ways throughout its business, and obviously we've spoken about SGE and how we're going to start to see more AI-driven search results in general as we move forward. And I think this new partnership and how Reddit is going to be able to utilize Google's AI services is going to be interesting to see how that works. Are we going to get to a point where AI driven results are dominated by Reddit because of this partnership, or are we going to see, it on the other side where Reddit maybe doesn't come up as much? It's difficult to say. You would think it would be the former, but it's quite an interesting sort of prospect to see where it's going to fall. Yeah,
absolutely. So I guess sort of to follow on with that then. So what do you, if I, today, based on everything sort of that we know at the moment, what do you think that it necessarily means for sort of SEO going forward, given we've talked about helpful content updates, content audits, you were talking about content last week. What does it mean for SEOs going forward, do you think?
It's a difficult one to answer, but I think going forward, if we look at this partnership on its own for a second, I think it means that there has to be more of a consideration given to Reddit potentially as a platform that businesses can utilize. Ask sort of a group of people, and each one will tell you that they either never use Reddit, they use Reddit every single day, they use it for this purpose or that purpose. We know that there is a lot of useful content on Reddit. We also know there's a lot of unsavory content on Reddit. So how Google differentiates with that, I'm not quite sure yet. But I think if this sort of partnership is going to be legitimately providing search results going forward, then as businesses who are targeting organic traffic, we have to take that into consideration. And I think involving Reddit, at least in the conversation of how we target content and how we share content on various platforms, I think certainly needs to be sort of in the mix at the very least.
Yeah. Okay. So that's interesting. So I'm just going to pick up on one point that you made there. Are you an avid user of Reddit?
I wouldn't say I'm an avid user. I do use it now and again. It's not sort of something I turn to every day. I'm a bit of a nerd in certain areas. So for leaks on films and bits and pieces like that, it's probably my go-to for little things like that. But no, I wouldn't say I'm an avid user really. No.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not either. But I feel like there's it seems to be like there's that polarization of like you either don't use it or you do use it. There doesn't seem to be like an in between here.
No,
sounds like a bit of a stupid thing to say, but so that's sorry, I was just asking that question out of interest really, but more I guess more so then I think having read about this a little bit, you see some of the commentators I've following Lily Ray, for example, on LinkedIn, some of the other commenters on SEO or sort of in the industry talking about this as sort of suggesting that there might be a shift in the way that maybe SEOs focus and prioritize their time. And again, it's that shift of where should you focus? And a lot of them are saying like, is this like the new link building? Should you be promoting content, using Reddit to give, to answer relevant questions, give really quality answers to things, and then, essentially you'll be the source of that data through Reddit. I don't know. the answers that Google gives on a particular search term are, you're going to be thinking about, okay, how obviously, Reddit shouldn't be saying that, it should be saying this kind of thing, and you have to then influence that, and obviously that's quite a big shift probably in terms of where in terms of SEO in general. So yeah, I don't know if you've sort of seen that or had any thoughts specifically about that.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a shift happening. It certainly feels like it. I think I've seen some bits over the last few days, and I know the back end of last year, Gary Isles from Google, very clearly stated that links weren't in the top 3 ranking factors.
I know you're mid-flow. I have a bit of an optics marketing plug to do.
We're just being joined by a colleague.
How are we doing? This is a plug just to say, for anyone who's interested in social media, you're probably not listening to this episode, but if you are, we've got an upcoming lightning talk led by myself and Lucy, talking about how we took one of our clients' social media profiles to over 1 million followers. Check us out on LinkedIn and you'll get involved.
It's a global client as well.
It
is a global client, yes.
Big deal. Anyway.
I feel like that was like Ant and Dec's Saturday night takeover, whatever it is, takeaway, and we just got absolutely railroaded. What were we talking about again? Something about social.
Something about something else. Yeah.
Cheers. Wow.
That was
new.
An unexpected sidetrack. Yes.
Good PSA. Good reminder about the lightning talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you should attend. In all seriousness, it'll be really interesting. Yeah.
Barnaby really knows his onions on that kind of thing.
He does. He really does.
Where were we?
Right.
About the shift. Gary Isles.
Yes. So he sort of publicly stated the back end of last year that links weren't in the top 3 ranking factors, and we've kind of known over time that while links do have value, they're obviously nowhere near as important as they used to. And I think that, combined with this deal of Google and Reddit's partnership, I think is definitely leading itself towards a shift away from what you'd consider kind of more traditional, I guess, link building and that area of SEO. I think we're moving to a place where perhaps more value and more kind of results are going to be achieved by spending more time on utilizing platforms like Reddit to share content and promote brands and businesses, rather than potentially focus on hardcore trying to build links from publications and things like that. I think there is still value there, and probably someone watching this will think I'm talking rubbish, but I believe that there still is some value there. I'm not disagreeing that they are not as important as they used to be. That certainly is the case. But I think discounting traditional kind of content sharing and link building like that is sort of not advisable right now anyway. But I think there's definitely a shift going towards thinking about how we do that in a different way, and I think this partnership definitely highlights that Google is also considerably moving away from that area as well, and is trying to as we've said kind of all along, the use of AI is they're really trying to contain people within the Google platform. And I think that's something that we're just going to continue to see more. They're trying to sort of not prevent, but I guess provide users as with as much information as possible without having to navigate away. And that clearly is the case in this instance now, where, okay, users might navigate away to Reddit, but actually the partnership between Google and Reddit it's also advantageous for them to do so on Google's behalf. So I think there really should be a consideration on how we utilize platforms like Reddit and, potentially other platforms in the future as well, outside of how we would usually build links and share content.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important point, actually. So I think we've known for a long, long time, it's obvious really that if Google can keep you on Google for longer, then it's more advantageous for them, because, more likely you'll hit more search ads, drive revenue to them, blah, blah, blah. And then also you look at some of the testing that they've been doing on just the layouts of the pages. Google Discover's coming to desktop, I think, at some point relatively soon. There's been testing on that, so it's going down this more like social route. So, and then obviously SGE, like you're going to be kept there. And sort of, I guess, sort of led down the rabbit hole on your long tail queries and things like that. So, I think that makes absolute sense, and I think that's where this is this kind of deal is points to that kind of theme continuing as well.
For sure. Yeah, I think sorry, just to interject.
Yeah.
I think we really are getting towards a point where we are seeing Google more as a hub than anything else. I think even at this stage, I feel like long gone are the days where it was simply a search engine that you would search for a keyword and then go to that site. Like, even at this point, we're kind of moving significantly away from that. And we're seeing that with partnerships like, with Reddit, which is a serious player, and the strides that Google is making and the changes that they are sort of making to sort of their platform and how users actually interact with Google, I think we are definitely seeing that shift towards trying to keep people within the Google platform, or at the very least on partnership sites or partner kind of assets, as it were.
Yeah. And do you think part of this is to try and develop its own stream of more like user generated content? And I guess in a sense, because of the fact that TikTok's probably stealing share, other social platforms are stealing share, and Google sees this as like a bit of a way to survive and maybe have a bit more credibility in a sense if it's taking like actual user generated content and showcasing that as part of the search results.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. Yeah, I think there is definitely truth to that. 100%. I think you're dead on in stating that, essentially Google is trying to do exactly that, trying to take back some market share that it potentially has lost from other platforms. And I think it's trying to get to a place where, it literally is keeping its users for itself. It's saying that the information you need, you can just get from Google. You don't need to use it as a stepping stone to go somewhere else to get the information. You can simply acquire that by using Google or using one of the Google services or Google platforms to do so. And that really does change the game in many sort of aspects as marketing, particularly as a marketing agency. We really have to think about how we adapt our sort of services and offerings around that. But I think we are definitely moving towards a place where Google is really trying to retain its users and retain the people that are using its service and providing them with what they need through Google rather than by pointing them into another direction.
Of
where
course.
they can get that from.
Google's business, right? Google wants to make
absolutely
money, so let's keep everyone there. So how do you feel about this? Positive, negative, indifferent? What do you think?
I guess maybe a little bit indifferent. Strangely positive though, which is weird given that my whole job is to get sites ranking on Google. So that makes it challenging, right? But I think I actually think it's more of an exciting prospect than anything else, because it presents new challenges for us and not just from a sort of SEO point of view where I'm coming from, but also from a paid media point of view, social point of view, from a general kind of digital marketing point of view. It really creates some additional challenges which I think are quite exciting to try and work out to overcome. We're talking about these things like they're going to be implemented in the next few weeks. Obviously, this sort of stuff with how Google is evolving is like years and years and years in the process. We've mentioned SGE tons today and in other podcasts as well. But, again, that's something that has been in development for years. We were expecting it a long time ago. It still hasn't, sort of happened to the live market, as it were. So things like this, they are going to take time. They are going to take, considerable, probably years to sort of develop and manifest to a point where they're sort of widespread. But I think it's definitely an interesting challenge. I think it's quite exciting in a way. I obviously understand the negatives of it as well from sort of a digital marketing point of view and a point of view of how do we still provide a service to clients, but I think it is exciting to see where it can go. And I think if we look ahead to 5-10 years time and actually at that point look back and see how different things were, it'll be interesting to kind of see that journey that these sorts of platforms are taking and how we adapt to that, because Google is adapting and we have to adapt with Google and respective other platforms as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting. I think it's some good points in there, and I'd also like to focus on the positive side of it. But obviously, there's going to be some negatives. I think there's already been some negatives in terms of people like jumping on and sort of I know articles on just just looking at an article here from Business Insider that literally has a paragraph that says YouTube has heaps of videos offering advice on hijacking Reddit to rise to the top of Google search. One of the most popular videos right now teaches viewers to purchase abandoned Reddit accounts, seek out popular Reddit posts to post comments filled with affiliate links, and then artificially inflate their popularity using upvotes purchased from third-party websites. So, and then that it's saying this way they can feasibly rocket to the top of Google. And I think there was a particular case study where one Reddit user climbed to the top ranking Google search results in minutes. So there are people gaming the system already, and I think obviously
not surprising, really.
Yeah,
is it?
exactly. As soon as these things get announced, you get you get the black hat way of doing things as well.
Yeah.
People will look for the quick wins to, get their payday right now, but ultimately it's probably not a long-term strategy. And I'm sure sort of the anti-spam policies and things like that Google has will be all over that, and penalize any kind of activity that it sees that is gaming the system. But that is happening, so that's one thing now, and probably something for that will impact credibility if Google don't sort of nip it in the bud early.
Definitely.
But it obviously boosts content that's probably possibly less valuable. And then the other thing is the fact that you still get a heap of just crap advice on Reddit. So as much as the good stuff is, then you also get some pretty crap stuff as well. So again, like there's a paragraph in this saying like so Lily Ray was saying that there was an example of Reddit ranking prominently at the top of Google when she searched how to lose £10 in a week, and one Redditor suggested cutting your arm off. So it's like, okay.
I mean, technically that would work, right? Yeah.
But it just the cynic in me then makes me think like, obviously this stuff's going to happen. It's already happening. Obviously the theme of quality over quantity and all that kind of stuff is going to be is still going to be apparent as we go through this. I'm sure even in 10 years time we'll be talking about quality over quantity, obviously. But it's really like, is it going to take a while for this to become like the norm and how people get used to it? Are people going to be put off? Is it going to be more advantageous to like the other platforms because people are like, well, all this content that I'm getting from Google and these results are just ultimately then like they're not helpful, so I'm going to go elsewhere? Like, do you see that as a big risk, or I don't know? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I see it I definitely see it as a risk, and I'm definitely, it's very interesting to see the kind of results that are going to be displayed, or the kind of Reddit results that are going to be displayed, because as we know, as you just said, Reddit is full of a lot of crap. There's some good stuff, there's a lot of good stuff, but there's also a load of rubbish. And how Google is going to use its algorithms, its AI tools, its AI suite to determine what content is good and what content is bad is going to be really interesting, because I do think, particularly at the start, you are going to get a lot of results that are displaying Reddit content that is just rubbish or nonsense or completely not related to the topic that the user is searching for. So how Google creates this kind of program or creates this kind of system that denotes whether a piece of content coming from Reddit is high quality, is useful, is going to be sort of quite interesting to try and understand. And as you alluded to, there's obviously already people out there kind of exploiting the system, which is to be expected, as with kind of everything. So again, that's another thing that kind of highlights that they're able to do that, as you mentioned, or in one instance in the case of minutes, which is kind of scary to think about, really. And it's how Google then combats that, to sort of present more legitimate results. So there's definitely a risk involved, but I think it's definitely a part of a digital strategy that you have to sort of at least consider now. But I think it's still going to sort of be a little while probably before things are kind of ironed out in terms of the actual quality of results that people are going to expect. Because like you said, if people are starting to search on Google, they're getting AI results and then they're also getting Reddit results, or a combination of both. And if they're all rubbish, then they're going to be discouraged and go to a different platform or go and try and find that information elsewhere, which obviously in Google's eyes is not ideal at all. So
luckily that's a problem that Google have to solve and not us. So
yes,
I'm quite happy about that.
Yes, definitely.
What, if anything, would be your advice for like businesses like now? Like, should people start thinking about including Reddit in their marketing mix or their digital strategy, or is it too soon for that? Ultimately, there's things like I guess thinking about it from I guess like specific industries. So like if you're more B2B, is this kind of thing going to work better than if you're like B2C? Likewise, if you're healthcare, finance, anything like that, your money or your life type sites, is this going to be something that's again more relevant for them than others? Like maybe just e-commerce or something. But I don't know. Is there? So that was a few questions in one, but really it's like getting that what is the now? What What would you advise people, do you think, right now with this?
I think it is very, particularly with Reddit, I think it's very industry and business specific, probably even more so than, some of the other platforms that might be out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's certainly worth considering. I think for probably most businesses, I think if we're talking about, like you said, the financial sector or the legal sector, probably Reddit realistically isn't going to be something that they're going to touch, at the very least in the short term, maybe not ever. Yep. But for other types of business, I've seen examples of larger scale businesses that have taken advantage of Reddit, through having their own subforums and things like that, where they create these kind of communities, I guess, how they also utilize platforms like Discord and things like that to create these kind of communities of users and customers that get them kind of talking about the business. So I think Reddit can be powerful for businesses in its current state, and as we move forward, as it kind of evolves alongside Google. But I think it's very much a case by case basis, and I think if we're talking about we take on board a brand new client to do a brand new digital strategy and marketing plan, I think it should certainly be a consideration at the very top level, and then if value is seen, then to explore further down the line how it would form part of that plan or part of that strategy, and how actually we would physically be able to utilize that platform to the benefit of the client. So I think it should be considered at very top level, but beyond that, it's very much a case by case site basis, and it's going to be very industry specific on whether it's a platform that is actually going to bring any kind of value to the business as well. But I think particularly in its kind of recent evolution with the link and the partnership to Google, I think it's probably something that should be considered, at least as I say, at the top level, and then you kind of go from there.
Nice. Okay, cool. Anything else that you'd add? This is part of wider conversation about this.
I don't think there's sort of too much else to add on that. I think from a sort of wider perspective, I guess it does sort of highlight how these platforms are evolving over time, and how as marketing professionals in the industry, we have to consider those changes and adapt alongside that. We can't be kind of stationary and continue doing the same thing that we've been doing for years and things like that. So from a professional point of view, so I'm speaking to all the digital marketers out there, I think this kind of evolution of these platforms also should coincide with kind of the evolution of yourself and your evolution of your understanding of how these changes can be utilized in a day-to-day kind of marketing landscape. And from the user point of view, it's also something that you're probably going to have to get used to be quite blunt. I think this kind of evolution and integration with AI and things like that is not going away. It's only going to get more prevalent and more frequent in your kind of day-to-day use of these platforms. So again, I think it's just something you're going to have to get used to, and on both sides of the fence, really.
Nice. Okay, cool. No, good.
That rounds it off.
Good way to end. Yeah, nice rounding. So, housekeeping. Sign up to our newsletters. Stay up to date with podcasts, events. You heard about the social media event, Lightning Talk, that we've got planned that for a couple of weeks. So, sign up for that. Yeah. What else is there?
Sorry to jump in. Is the Lightning Talk hybrid again? Is it?
It is hybrid.
It is hybrid,
I believe.
So if you can attend in person, we would love to see you. Free food will be provided. That's sort of all the incentive you need, I guess, because that would be enough to convince me to come in.
That's why Joe's coming.
So the last one on AI was fantastic. Alistair gave a great talk. This next one, as you say, is how we grew a global client. How we grew their social presence to over 1 million.
Over 1 million followers.
Over 1 million followers. Yeah. So really cool stuff. Barnaby's hosting that, and he's a bit of a whiz with all things social. So keep an eye for that, and do attend if you can. It'll be awesome.
Nice one. That was said much better than I could. The other thing, if you've got any questions, anything you want us to talk about on the podcast, email us at podcast@opticsolutions.co.uk or info@opticsolutions.co.uk, and it'll find our way to us, its way to us. Otherwise, have a good rest of your week, and we will speak to you soon.
Enjoy.
Take care.
Speak to you later.
Bye.
See ya.